And
Mm.
I know that because we've talked about this before, um, about what happens to a child when the child starts to go to school, starts to read in a sense, starts to be taught, goes through the education system, and then we're forever, in a sense, within this education system, and that can be part cultural as well. So, and I know this
Yeah,
is really important to kind of.
absolutely. I think trying to just teach one path of wisdom, which I'm not even sure if it is wisdom really. Yes, I am a rebel in this area. I believe we need a new kind of education system because the education system is just the left hemisphere. And it's just about it's not autodidactic. It's not about cultivating an epiphany so that you can see something yourself for the first time. It's not about that at all. It's about passing a test and then forgetting the things that you possibly learn. And I could speak to this a long time. Uh, you know, you know, when I say something like you become a piece of human commodity the minute you go to school, and then you have a value in our society. Might sound a little edgy, but you're then passing tests, and then you're then become egoic. You're then pitched against another student, and you have to do better than them, and you have to score more grades, and these things, of course, are just something that we invented. They're a constraint of the mind that says, I've got grade 8 pianos. As my piano, when I said that to my piano teacher, he said, I've got grade 32. He was saying, then he finished that with, you're still at the bottom of Everest looking up. But to some children now, because they have reached the echelons of the heights of musical skills. And what I'm suggesting is that we don't actually cultivate any great sort of, I don't even think we teach one sort of epistemic way of thinking at school. I don't think we teach what we would call sense making. The book I've been writing for, and I'm sort of on the second draft, so I don't want to jinx it by saying I've written a book, but I've been working on this book, is the idea of saying that I really wish in school at least, I mean, I think we need a new form of schooling, is that we need kind of what you would call meta theory. We need to be able to think about our thinking. And I think we need to cultivate that in young people, because what I'm really saying is very positive. I believe that the human mind is capable of such vastness that we don't know about. But unfortunately, it gets veiled of itself with the adults that believe this is what these young people need to know. And the only thing that is true is impermanence is a fundamental fact of existence, both the universe and us. And if we could cultivate the capacity to do, and I'm getting mechanistic again, but to do creativity, we could say, which is not mechanistic, but meta moves, to view something from a different architecture of thinking. Subjects become objects, things that move are still, to constantly change the way we see something so that our perspective is often shifting so that we can see something anew. As Jordan Peterson says beautifully, for the first time. Like you've just alluded to, Piaget, the great child development psychologist, said that, like you said, between up to 4, kids don't see a cat and a dog. And I think Jordan Peterson mentions this, doesn't he? He says they just see a furry thing.
Yeah.
It's us that mechanistically divide that thing up into a category. And then I think then are we ontologically fooled by that? Well, it's not even ontological, is it? It's not even that. I think the only thing that's ontological is consciousness. That's the only primer. But I think, are we fooled then down the line? And are we forever being misled by our initial thinking?
Hmm.
I don't know, what's your thoughts responding to some of that?
Yeah, really well said. Very good. Yeah, yeah, it's great. Are we fooled by our thinking? Yes, of course we are.
Mm.
Of course we are. I mean, um, but also it it leads us to incredible places, and it depends what, when we say our thinking, do we mean a cultural thinking? Do we mean an individual thinking? an educational way of thinking or being, shall we say? Is it's more a way of being too and thinking? So, yeah, I like to question myself a lot on how I think and feel about things, because I know that I, in a sense, have made mistakes, do make mistakes, and will make mistakes, but those mistakes are part of my learning of how to be. So in them is a knowledge, it's an experience, and you don't always know something is a mistake till afterwards, in a sense. And then strangely enough, many years later, what we might perceive then as a mistake might have great knowledge in it that we remember, and there might be something that we've forgotten where we think, oh, I'll just cast this aside. So it's a very complicated thing, and this is why my explanation of it is slightly muddled, because it's a very hard one to work out. So my right brain is the only thing I can use in this to explain, not my left, because I wouldn't be able to. So
No.
it's do I think education is wrong? It's very hard to say, to answer yes to that, because we can't just have wrong or right. There are many shades between as well. Do I personally think the school education helped me? I would say a very minimal amount. Do I think that education helps a lot of people to really perceive and understand the world? I would say a very minimal amount. Again, I would definitely say that. I think there's a lot of goodness in it. I do, but I think it misses a hell of a lot. It really does, and it does not give much importance to the creativity that a human being has in abundance. That is suppressed. That is seen as a secondary, or even, it's seen as almost pointless sometimes, which angers me. Absolutely